So hello everyone, we have got another client here. She's got quite long hair to start off with, but she wants the big chop. So I'm going to wash her hair and get it all ready to section. So we're going for a short graduation look today with it a little bit longer on top. But she does want it kind of longer around the ears so that she can have it tucked behind the ears or maybe left forward. So first of all, what you're going to need to do is section the hair. Like I always do for shorter haircuts, I tend to take this halo section, which goes from like temple to temple all the way round, if you can, and then just clip it up out the way. And that way you have got a really good guideline to work on around the edges there. And if ever you do make a mistake, obviously you can cover it up with the length on the top if need be. So we're going to start by cutting the sides. Now deciding where to cut and discussing with the client as well. She really liked the fact, she's like, oh, you asked me how much I want off. Not many people do, but you do need to communicate with your client and just make sure that it's the right length, because you can't stick it back on. So she was happy with that, and we're just going to go in with the big chop and take some hair at an angle upwards, and then leaving it longer over the ear but pulling it forward. Now you can see I've got it at a slight angle, but make sure it's as close to the head as you possibly can. If you lift it slightly, you're going to get what we call graduation. Bringing it round to the back. She does want it quite short at the back, so we're going to just cut off as much length as we can. She's got quite a curl in her hair actually, and the shorter you cut, the more curl kind of appears. So we've done the right hand side, and like always what we do to the right hand side, we would continue round to the left. Now I'm just balance checking the hair, just making sure that it is the same left and right. If there are anything different, just go in and adjust it. Now's your time to do it. So I'm going to start from the front section now. My guideline is by my fingertips. I'm not going to go any shorter than the length in my fingertips because that's what I've just cut. And I'm going to pull the hair out at 90 degrees. And I've just cross-checked the top bit there as well. So we're working in panels as we go down. I'm just making sure that you can see the guideline always, what you cut previously. So I'm just working around the right side of the head. And once I've worked around the right hand side of the head, I will then go and do exactly the same on the left hand side. Now I'm just balance checking the hair here, pulling it out left and right, absolutely everywhere where I've cut. Just make sure that it is the same length. Adjust where needed. As I say, we're going to go quite short at the bottom of the neck, and I'm just pulling it out in horizontal sections now, this is called cross-checking. So where I originally cut the hair in vertical sections, I'm now going to cross-check it horizontally, taking off any corners. Now there should be corners, but as you go up the head, you're pulling it further out. So it should be a bit longer every time you pull it out. That way the hair actually gradually gets from short to long. And I'm just checking as well, it's going to blend in with the front sections. So once we've done the underneath, then we can kind of work on the top section. Now the top section, if you wanted to, you could have it as long as the underneath. So you could have it a bit more of a bowl cut if you want on top. Or you can layer it a bit more, depending on what your client wants. My client wants this to be able to tuck behind her ears. She wants the length on top, but yet it's too flat if it's all one length, so she wants some layers put into it. So we're just checking that it sits nicely. When it's behind the ears, there's no little loose strands as well. So now it's time to bring down the top section. I'm going to start at the back and work my way forward. So you can see it's got a bit of an overhang on that at the moment. So some people quite like the overhang. Some people you might want to razor that bit just so it blends in a little bit, but it still sits quite heavy on top. I'm just going to blend it in from the look that we've got already. So my guideline is from the underneath area. So I want it all to blend in with the long bit there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take panels on top. So they're like horizontal panels when you stand behind. And I'm just going to blend that in. So it's gonna be a bit longer on top. So you can imagine if I'm pulling everything back to the same point, the hair at the front, if that's pulled back to that same point, would be really long, wouldn't it? So we're just trying to see what the haircut's going to look like once it has got a bit of the bulk off the top. I'll just take my next section on top again. So moving forward another inch, clip it up out the way. Make sure your sections are as neat as what you can do, and then it's easier to see where you're at. So you can see I'm pulling it right back now. So there should be not much coming off. As it's getting longer because the hair is growing from the head closer to the front. So now I've got all the hair. You can see I've pulled all the fringe back, very little coming off. And it's going to be this look. Actually, if you wanted to wear it, you could have it really long at the front and short at the back, and coming down the face like a long sweepy fringe. So it could look quite nice, but that's not actually what the client wants to have today. She just wants it kind of all blended in and shorter on top, so it's not so flat. So there we go. If you wanted that long sweepy look, and you could leave it like that if you wanted to and just really jazz it up a bit. That's it. So the client likes it like that, but it's too heavy, it's too flat, so she wants it lifted up. So I'm just going to put in some square layers on top as well, and just make sure it all blends through. So I'm just making sure the whole hair connects. Now she has been trimming her fringe herself, so I'm taking barely anything off her fringe at the moment, just making sure it has had a little trim. And that's me just trying to connect it, trying not to get in the way of the video, but it's so hard to do when you've got just your camera sitting on your trolley. So we're going to lift it up a little bit. So I've decided to go through the centre and just take off that long corner at the front, pulling it up 90 degrees and just point cutting the hair. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, because when you're point cutting it is little bits. This bit as well, I'm pulling back towards my face, so I'm over exaggerating it up. As I point cut and keep going, just pull it up and just point cut. And if you pull it towards you a bit more, then it'll be slightly longer. If you pull it towards the camera a bit more, then it'll be slightly shorter. And I'm just going to do exactly the same the other side, and I'm going to kind of push it away from me this side. And just point cut. So this technique we're going to use is called slicing. And what you're doing is basically slicing hair, comb the hair into the direction that you want and then slice it the same direction, and it's a way to texturize hair. You need quite sharp scissors to do this, so you can do it with just your blade without having to close, and it'll just take areas a little bit shorter. And when you texturize hair, you'll often find that the hairstyle lasts longer because there's long bits and short bits in there. If it was all long, then it will be quite heavy very quick. So I'm hoping this will last my client quite a long time. And no doubt the next time she sees me, it might be back down to where it was before. So she's having a little play around, making sure that she can do it herself. And then I'm going to come in with my round brush blow dry and try and give her a bit of root lift. Yeah, I'm just going to tidy up my client's neck hair, just make sure there's no little fluffy bits down there, no length, just to neaten it up, make it look nice, nicely finished. So product wise, I don't use anything too strong on her hair, so it's just a Super Sculpt from Paul Mitchell. Gives a nice little hold, nice little glaze. And now we're going to start blow drying. So we're going to start with just a little bit of finger drying at the nape of the head, just because the hair is too short to get a round brush in, so you might as well just use your fingers. Try and get a little bit of root lift in there, make sure it sits nice as it dries. So in with the round brush, and I have got the round brush number 13. It's quite a small round brush, which is good for the hair. Doesn't give as much root lift, but it will give it a bit more curl. We're just trying to lift it and just kind of make it sit nicely. So you've got it kind of tapered into the neck, and you can see that it sits further out. Makes the head shape look nice if you give it a bit of root lift. So we're just going to continue blow drying all the way until it's finished. So the front bit here, I'm just going to blow dry it straight. What I did do there, which I needed to adjust, I didn't notice until after, she's got a bit of a cow's lick at the front. So I gave it a bit too much root lift because it was starting to stick up a little bit around the front area. But that's easy solved. We could just spray it down with a bit of water and then go back over it again, make it a bit flat. So I'm also giving my client quite a lot of lift, quite a lot of roundness. She's not used to having her hair blow dried. She's used to just washing and going and just having it quite flat on the head. So sometimes it takes a bit of getting used to when you're blow drying hair with a bit of volume and a bit of roundness. And now it's just playtime, just kind of putting in some products maybe, just making sure that it sits nice. Maybe showing the client how to create the same look at home, show what brushes and products to use. Go back in as well. I'm just using my thinning scissors because she says it's really thick over this side and I can actually see it's thick, especially with the colour where she's put on her own home colour. And you can see the colour build up. It's really dark there. So the thinning scissors just take a nice bit of thickness out there to allow it to sit closer to the head without it being bulky. I always say little bits at a time. You never know, some thinning scissors take out loads of hair, some thinning scissors don't do enough. So it just depends on your thinning scissors. You've got to know your tools, what you're using to know how much to chop away really. That's it. So you're just putting it into style, showing the client what to do. They have a little bit of go themselves. They want to take over as well. They just want to get stuck in and really play with their own hair because they're so used to doing it themselves. And it's just finishing it off now, putting it into a style that you and your client like, using products. And this is it. So this is the finished look. We have one happy client. She liked that, so she's just got to touch up her roots a bit more, making sure that the grey areas don't make it look like she's got bald patches. And you can see it's a short graduation. It's short, gradually getting longer. She's got a bit of volume on top. And it's all blending, lovely.